What's going on, everybody? This be your boy DJ Anonymous with Sportsbizmusic, the podcast, episode 69. And I got a special guest on the show tonight. I got DJ Dramos.
Yep.
I said it right?
Dramos, yep, you got it right. So if you mess up, say Dramos, but yeah, Dramos.
Dramos, man. How you doing, man?
I'm straight, man. I'm good. I'm happy out here. I appreciate you having me.
No, I appreciate you, because I know you have a busy, week and everything. And,
of course.
And, I just appreciate you just, having an open block, to come on my show. I really appreciate it. Of course,
man. I got to show love. I appreciate what you're doing.
So, most people may know you from, being the guy by DJ Envy, the quiet one and stuff like that. But, give, a little introduction to, to the people that may not know you or may know you but don't know what you do besides, producing.
So I'm one of the producers on the Breakfast Club. So that's where you see me sitting next to Envy, all the interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I am a radio personality myself. So I'm on a station here down in Jersey and then another one in Connecticut as well on air. I also DJ. I DJ for another radio station here in New York City called Z100. I also DJ for a syndicated radio show that's it's 160 stations around North America, something like that. And then I also have a podcast called Beats and Booze where we just do really laid back kind of green room, conversations with different artists. We've got anybody from G-Eazy to Diplo on the show. And then also I'm a club DJ and a music producer as well.
That's what's up, man. So, before we dig deep into, everything that you're doing so far, tell me about, tell me and the listeners about your beginnings. What made you want to, get into, DJing and, producing and get into, media as well?
It started, I always was super into music, Originally, I was playing. I think I originally wanted to be an R&B singer, but I don't have much of a voice. But I was always just dabbling and stuff. It depended on what I was influenced by as a kid. It was definitely the bad boy era, music. So I was super into that kind of stuff. And then from there, I kind of started getting into bands. I was playing in bands as well. I played drums in a band. I used to tour and record and do all kinds of stuff with that. And when that kind of came to an end, I kind of stopped doing music as far as creating, and I just felt like a part of me was missing, so I just kind of was looking for something new. I'd always had an interest in DJing. So at the time I was working at Guitar Center here in New Jersey, and from there I just kind of started learning about DJing and bought some gear and kind of slowly worked my way up and then kind of stumbled into radio from there.
That's what's up. So what was your first gig as a DJ? How was that?
My first gig. It was actually so at the time I was still heavily involved with bands while I was DJing. So I was DJing, but I was also kind of running a small little record label when I was helping out smaller bands, and we actually had a stage at this festival in Illinois, and basically we had at night this whole block of time that we didn't have any bands booked, so we were just all right, we're gonna throw a party. At our stage or whatever, and I had my DJ stuff with me, and that was the first kind of gig. But after that, it was just honestly private. Anything I can get, private parties, whatever. I would DJ the back of a bowling alley. I would go to Long Island and DJ somebody's block party or their Sweet 16 or something like that. It was literally anything I can get my hands on. I would DJ.
That's what's up, man. Cause as a DJ myself, I already know the grind and stuff, carrying your speakers and I may not know about the whole crates because that was kind of I was in between that generation.
It's before my time too.
Yeah, it went. So we we got that same we in the same same age area. So but we still knew about with the speakers and everything, and you got to have all the equipment, make sure everything was good and things like that.
That was a pain.
Yeah, it was my back still hurt all the time, man.
Yeah. So honestly, I used to blow out speakers like crazy, and I used to. Since I worked at Guitar Center, they would let you take stuff on loan every once in a while.
Yeah.
And that was literally all I was doing for the longest time. Eventually I had time to stop and buy my own speakers because I just was taking stuff on loan because I couldn't afford to at the time even buy a set of speakers. I just wanted to get out there and DJ as much as I could.
Right. Was you involved in the whole mixtape era as well?
I wasn't putting out mixtapes, but I remember as a kid, in high school and stuff like that, like I had my plug, who was like the dude who had all the mixtapes. For me, I think back then it was like I was big on Papoose. Kind of his mixtape era and all that kind of stuff. And I remember, at the back of the day, that's how you got music. That was how you got like all the hot new records and all that kind of stuff. Like DJ Drama. I remember Clue from when I was really young. I remember Clue and all those kind of dudes like Funk Flex and those kind of guys as well. That was how you got a lot of those cool records that not everybody else had.
Yeah, man. Because like I tell these kids, like the younger generation. I'm 27, so I tell like an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, like. Y'all missed like an era where it was so many mixtapes, from all different regions, and like for example, like even Drake, the So Far Gone, like a lot of these kids don't even know that's a mixtape,
Yep, absolutely.
And like you had like J. Cole, Friday Night Lights, and you also had Wiz Khalifa, OJ and Kush and OJ.
Yep,
and like. That was just that era for mixtapes and stuff like that,
it was cool. I honestly, I missed that too. Because you would have them like, rapping over beats that weren't theirs. Like people would resample stuff. It was just cool versions of stuff. Obviously, like the Dat Piff era was cool, and it was a good way to find new artists I didn't really know about. Especially on like Dat Piff, I would just kind of see who was trending or whoever it was, and then go on there and check out the mixtapes. And I mean, honestly, as a DJ, I'm a little upset that I missed out on that era because a lot of dudes made a lot of money off of making mixtapes.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so I mean, I hear stories about guys like Clue and Envy, and even dudes like Diplo, used to just hustle mixtapes and make a lot of money back then.
Right. I have a question.
Sure.
Because I spoke to some artists on my show, and a lot of them say that the streaming now, like the era of streaming, like it helps them, But I know as a DJ, do you think it kind of take out the fun of like just trying to discover like artists, or you think it's still there, like as far as like the SoundCloud artists and stuff like that?
It's weird, man, because in the club, I think people aren't really looking to hear new music for the most part, So to a degree, I mean, I'm playing in the club, twice a week. Sometimes more, and it can get a little boring, where you kind of have to get a routine down, if you don't want to, like I know this is going to work, I know they're going to want this, blah, 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 and when you try to drop in a new record, you don't really get that reaction, so I think that is probably a byproduct of the streaming era, where people, just the on-demand era, you know what I mean, where people can get what they want on demand, nobody's like sitting there, you don't really have to sit there. And like when I was a kid, sit there listening to the radio, waiting for like your favorite song to come on. You have to listen through all the other songs while you're waiting. Now you're just checking everything out on demand as you want it. So I think that streaming stuff definitely has hurt as far as like people maybe discovering new stuff. But on the other hand, I think as independent artists, small artists coming up, there are still those niches of kids that like want to hear something new, that want to be the dude that discovers something, and that's what that SoundCloud era has kind of come about. Where there's those people who live on those SoundCloud kind of charts and finding new artists and things like that. So it still exists. It's just not in the mainstream, I guess. It's kind of hurt the mainstream to a degree.
Yeah, not like how I used to. Like I feel like the SoundCloud artists, what they call now, they kind of like the last bit of artists where it's still fun to like discover like new artists and stuff, but like you have like Spotify, iTunes, Tidal. You have all these big name streaming services where they actually like get a John Doe from like Montana from his house, and like he signed to that service, So it kind of like as a DJ, kind of like, all right. Even as a fan, it's like, dang, like I can't really like go about social media and find like the next big potential artists and stuff like that, but.
Yeah, I mean, it puts the power in the listener's hands, too. They can do the same thing you used to do when it comes to digging and finding new artists. Like, you can go check out, Spotify's viral charts and see what's popping in, like, Atlanta or something like that, very easily, as a listener. So, yeah, it kind of takes that away from us a little bit. But, as with anything, you kind of just got to keep evolving and roll with it. You're never going to beat technology. Technology's always going to win, so you got to kind of just adapt to it.
Yeah, that's true. So what made you like get into like radio? Like what was like your first opportunity to put get your foot in the radio industry, in the media industry?
I always liked radio. I was always a fan of it. I grew up, on like the era of like, Funk Flex and guys like that, and I used to look up to that. But radio always just seemed crazy to me. Like it never seemed like it could be something real, so I never really kind of pursued it. Really, how I got into it was just DJing. I was DJing, and not even anywhere good. It just so happened like one of the random like dive bars that I was, DJing this Thursday night party at. One of the guys who was also a DJ just happened to like work at one of the radio stations here in New York called KTU, and he would do like the overnight shift, which is midnight to 6 a.m. and he would just run the boards like he wasn't on there anything. He was just running the boards from midnight to 6 a.m. And through him, I started meeting people who worked up here at the radio station. Because we have like 4 different radio stations on the same floor, not just like where the Breakfast Club is, but we have 3 or 4 other ones.
Yeah.
So and guys hang out. So I would just start meeting people, and I would be always constantly going out. If I was invited to go hang out somewhere, I always would say yes. I would always just go out and meet people. And honestly, that went on for like, I don't even know, probably 2 years or so. Until eventually, like somebody was getting fired over here at that same station, KTU. And just in conversation, it kind of came up like, yo, why don't you give Dramos a shot? And through that, they would sneak me in on like Sunday mornings and teach me how to run the board. And like the big boss, the program director, had no idea that they were doing that. And I would get up, I would be in the club till whatever time on Saturday, and wake up early as hell on Sunday, drive into the city every single morning. And that was honestly from like May until November. I didn't get officially hired until November, and I wasn't getting paid for any of that. So I was literally just driving up here constantly just to keep learning and show that I was, dedicated to what it was. And eventually I got that job and worked from midnight to 6 a.m., 4 nights a week for, I don't know, probably a year or two before, things kind of started to progress.
So how was that like during that time, like, as a I guess like being on the radio and stuff like that? Because I remember when DJ Khaled was on the radio down here for like 99 Jams, and like it was like every day 5 o'clock traffic jam, DJ Khaled and stuff, and like people like seen the growth of Khaled. Like I remember when he dropped his first album, like it was then, and he was like he elevated, like he went from being full-time to part-time to like he made it, so like how was like being in the during that time, like just seeing like different artists come in and out and stuff like that?
It was wild, man. It was wild because this is like I grew up listening to these radio stations, you know what I mean? So for me to be in the building, let alone now actually like a real employee, it was crazy, and it was cool, I was still broke. I wasn't making a lot of money. I still had my other hustles and trying to do other things, but to be a part of it was crazy, man. Like you said, bumping into artists. I remember I would leave here at like 5:50 a.m. and every once in a while I would run into Charlamagne or Envy walking out, and we didn't really have conversations. We know each other, but just to kind of say what up, give them a pound or say good morning or whatever. Like that was always wild to me because I was listening to them before I worked in radio. So all that kind of stuff was cool, and it was really just sort of eye-opening to how real this actually could be for me, you know what I mean? I was always hustling, I always had a dream, and I always felt like, knew that this is what I wanted to do, but now to like be here on such a big stage, such a big platform, and to be seeing and interacting on a regular basis with people who are so successful in this field, and then kind of, realizing they're just regular people like myself, it all started feeling very real, and that was what was, kind of the most amazing thing for me, and it just made me step up my hustle even that much more.
Yeah, that's what Samantha was saying earlier, how like when she had to understand that when she realized that these celebrities was once upon a time like just like us, just regular people going to school, going to work, and just looking at like the people that was ahead of them on the TVs and on the radio and stuff like that. And like once you meet them, it's like they like us, they do the same stuff every day, eat at the same places most likely, and so that's what's up. And like how was you able to get the gig at the Breakfast Club as a producer?
Man, so that one I got kind of lucky to a degree. Like I think a lot of times when when like just like that saying, when one door closes, another one opens, basically.
Right.
So when I was working at doing the overnight